Guys, what's up? So I was watching some Alan Green videos and he found some really amazing stuff just by the introduction of the 1611 KJV Holy Bible. You know, the Holy Bible containing the Old Testament and the New. You put it in this grid, and then you see all these other words and secret stuff, like the word serpent right here. So yeah, I'm going to go into that later, but I just wanted y'all to know about that. I'll send a link. I just noticed the title of the rim of the book is incorrect. It says A Frolic of His Own, or of His Own, which is a William Goddess book that I picked up a couple years ago. I haven't finished it yet. So I was like, that's kind of weird because it's just called A Frolic of His Own, not A Frolic of His Own. And I'm sure that's part of the legal jargon that the book is kind of satiring. But when I just randomly opened a page, it had the name Sir Francis Bacon on it. I swear to God, y'all. I read maybe 20 pages of it when I first got it, but then just put it down because I was reading his other stuff. But then because of this, specifically because of the rim having that so-called typo, I just opened to a random page. And it happened to exactly be 256 with Sir Francis Bacon on it. And the corresponding page on the other side was 257. As we know, is Fra Rosie Cross in Kaye Cypher, the Rosicrucian Society that Bacon was part of. So anyway, I thought that was fascinating. And we know Shakespeare is Francis Bacon's muse because it means to shake the spear of wisdom to the serpent of ignorance. And that was one of his, one of his first societies as a boy, he was in one of his groups. That's a really important engraving showing Bacon writing the plays and using this actor as kind of a mask. He has his hand on the actor's back, and then it leads up to the Masonic temple because the Shakespeare plays are actually Masonic code. We also see in this other book about cryptography, Francis Bacon handing over the plays to a guy with a spear who looks like mean in Shakespeare, whereas Francis Bacon has his hat that he always has, the Master Mason hat, and his legs are in the 90-degree angle because they worship the ruler and compass, and among other things. And if we see here on page 56, which is F.R. Bacon and Simple Cipher of the first folio of Shakespeare, it's the first part of King Henry IV. What's weird is it literally has the word Francis all over the place. It's like overkill, but it's exactly 33 times on this one stanza, or this one page, because Bacon in Simple Cipher is 33. So Francis is 33 times in this one page 56. Just more and more evidence, y'all. And then we see on a different book of that era, it shows a guy shaking a spear on one side, which is page 33, which is Bacon, as we just said. And on the other side, it literally is the eulogy, or a poem to Francis Bacon right here on top. And you can see him on top as well again with the spear, indicating his status as Shakespeare. Pretty cool, huh? But some more AI art for you. Pretty sweet. Now, we all know this one, but I like to repeat it because it's so obvious. Ben Jonson knew Shakespeare was a pseudonym for his close friend, Francis Bacon. As in the first folio, Ben Jonson says, "Leave thee alone for the comparison of all that insolent Greece or haughty Rome sent forth, or since did, from their ashes come." In Ben Jonson's meditation, he writes of his friend Bacon, repeating the wording he used for him in the folio dedication, "who hath filled up all numbers and performed that in our tongue, which may be compared or preferred either to insolent Greece or haughty Rome." So the people who know, know, and that's how they tell each other that they know. That's another, like, literally on the Worthy Master Shakespeare. Worthy Master, like, how much more Masonic can you get with that wording, you know? And this is an old painting showing Bacon as an old man, because he didn't really die 1626. It's a whole big thing. You should. This is from the Francis Bacon Society website. It says the lady with this who suspected he faked his death. Her correspondent, Dr. Kirch, informed her that she had discovered the capital secret of Rosicrucianism, which is that Bacon. He stated that as an absolute matter of fact that Francis St. Alban lived to the age of 106, the age assigned to the Rosicrucian father, and he died in 1668, not 1626, in full possession of his faculties. So, yeah. And of course it says that's a painting of when he was living with that family in Germany. And it says FB right here for Francis Bacon. So it's just more and more confirmation, you know. Now this one is pretty insane. Like this is, I don't know why this isn't on the cover of Time magazine. In July 1992, the world-renowned Sotheby's offered the Tapster manuscript for sale, which their expert described as a manuscript the same date, bearing a striking similarity to a scene from Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1. So anyway, the Tapster Shakespeare manuscript is literally 2 written pages in some handwriting of King Henry V, or the Fourth. And they compared it to Francis Bacon's handwriting specifically. And the 2 graphologists confirmed that both the play scene fragment and the letter are probably written by the same person. I don't know how Oxfordians sweep this under the rug, or how Stratfordians sweep this under the rug. The Tapster manuscript, there's a whole hour-long video. I'll leave in the link. The Francis Bacon Society goes into it, okay? This is it. The oldest manuscript, other than the Northumberland manuscript, and other than the Bacon's Promise, which is in the 1590s, is this, the actual Tapster manuscript. So I'm sorry, that's just friggin' incredible. Excuse me. Lastly, we're going to go into some codes. Bacon at 111. What I was watching was My 600-Pound Life. I don't know why I binged it, because I felt really sorry for these people and wanted to watch them improve their life. But anyway, I just saw Bacon, because it was like in the very intro, season 2, the very first minute of it, or within the first 2 minutes, it says, the stupid husband says to the poor lady, there's something so right about putting bacon on food, just like to make fun of her, which is mean. But they put bacon at exactly 111 because, for the millionth time, bacon equals 111 in simple cipher. And that's that, y'all. That's how they do their code sometimes. In confirmation of this, literally the second episode of My 600-Pound Life, there's a guy whose last name is Shelton. And what have I been studying literally the past month? How Thomas Shelton's so-called translation of the Cervantes Don Quixote is actually the original Francis Bacon English text. So it's so weird that the show is having a synchronicity with the name Shelton. And so-called Thomas Shelton was the translator, but it's actually Bacon's hand. So once again, Bacon, 111, Tom Shelton, Don Quixote conspiracy, it's all connected. And this all happened the same day, too. I read like a ton of essays on my Baconiana books for the Francis Bacon Society. I specifically, yesterday on the 9th, I read all those essays about Shelton's translation, which is actually the original text. And then later on, just to relax my brain, I put on some TV, well, on Hulu, and I watched My 600-Pound Life, and it's about the Sheltons. Sorry. That's just weird. But let's look at this one. The Lion King is based off Shakespeare's Hamlet. We all know, right? Well, Francis Bacon is the real Shakespeare, so they mention it in a short random song. Are you aching for some bacon? You know, so Timon and Pumbaa can distract the hyenas so Simba can go fight Scar or whatever. I mean, so Disney has their own little ways of giving a nod to their Masonic roots and origin and their symbols. So this little short funny song is probably the funniest scene in the whole movie, is actually only there to confirm that Bacon is Shakespeare, because Lion King is based off Hamlet. Pumbaa is a ham. Sorry, it's just everywhere, all day, every day. This is funny though. I'm such a promoter of Bacon being Shakespeare and how ideas can't just be imagined at the same time coincidentally. But in 2010, I did write a dialogue between Oscar Wilde and Friedrich Nietzsche because of all of their similar ideas. It was about 20 pages too, so I'm just kind of calling myself out there. Yeah. This is more of my name corresponding to his name and title. I like how Francis Bacon's friends are Ben Jonson and George Villiers. My name's Ben Villars. That kind of fun stuff. And yeah, Bacon is Shakespeare. Sorry. It's just that simple, y'all. There's no other easy, like, again, I'll say, the most obvious explanation tends to be right. And it's just so obvious now that Bacon is Shakespeare and Cervantes that it's just, I can't even. When I found out to be or not to be is 157, that's when I was like, God, I was born for this stuff. Then again, Bacon and I have similar astrological stuff, mainly the Aquarius thing. And lastly, I'll end on this, y'all. Back then, they used the Julian calendar, you know? We use the Gregorian calendar, which is actually 13 days off. So when you read in a book that Francis Bacon was born January 22nd, all the Capricorn Aquarius cusps are like, oh, he's a Capricorn Aquarius cusp like me. But no, that's incorrect. If you look at his actual birth chart, it's closer to February 4th, which is more directly in Aquarius. So for all these years I've been studying this stuff, I always thought of archetypally, Francis Bacon was on the Capricorn Aquarius cusp because of January 20th. It's around that the transition. But astrologically, it's 13 days behind our Gregorian calendar. So he's actually more full Aquarius than I had initially thought. And I believe actually Aquarius in 2 of 4 is the week of the genius. Okay. I'm the Aquarius 3, not 2, so I'm the week of acceptance. I accept all these different philosophies and try and sort them out and figure them out. I did like Shakespeare cyberpunk. It's pretty awesome. The results you get in Shakespeare steampunk or whatever. Anyway, still love the AI art. Still digging into these codes. Right now, I'd recommend watching this Alan Green video. It's on the YouTube video Bardcast, Ark of the Covenant, in King James Bible engravings. Bardcast 13 on the Bard Code YouTube channel. Oh yeah, and Mars Volta is coming out with an acoustic album, April 21st. Sweet! I cannot get these songs out of my head. Like, they're so catchy, so we'll see how good that acoustic album is when that comes about. And I think I'm done rambling. Plenty more codes for you. I'm about 220 pages into Don Quixote, the Shelton text, so almost halfway through, and it's great. It's a classic for a reason. And I'm finding codes in there too as well. But that's a whole other video. Take it easy.